Jody Williams. The man. What does that represent right there?
That is.
I can read, but let's tell everybody.
East versus West qualifier. Took place Northwest Regional. Took place over the weekend. Had no chance to pull in. I decided to go do it anyway. I was going to be the referee, and I decided, you know what? For shits and giggles, why not? I need my right hand, needs some work. I've been training it, trying to get healthy for the last year and a half, because first it was the bicep, the tendonitis, and that went away. Then it was my wrist, which I retweaked again, by the way, during the match. It'll be all right, though. So I want to just see where I was at. And I was at pretty good standing, decent class, took second. So the rules were that if you took first or second in your class, then you qualify to the next round, which is the finals in Virginia, June 3rd. So that one was up for grabs. I was happy with what I did. I still got a few flaws, still holes in my game, so I got to fix up, But a lot of that's, table rust because I don't pull on the tournament basis on the right a lot. So,
well, that is interesting. Jay Clean, Marco, Scott, all in the chat.
Morning, everybody. Did you referee this weekend?
I did not referee this weekend.
Okay.
We, basically 2 weeks from now, I'll be refereeing. At the Stronghold event in Calgary, Alberta, Canada.
So it's not Calgary?
Well, you say it however you want to say it. I wouldn't even notice if you said Calgary.
I just heard Bret Hart say Calgary for so many years. I thought how you pronounce it.
Well, they probably pronounce it differently than we pronounce it in Manitoba.
Yes, Jay Clean, I made it to the finals. But 99.9% I will not go because that is weekend of June 3rd, and I have a tournament I put on. My wife and I put on our LOD Foundation tournament on June 24th, so my mind will be focused on squarely on that. So,
yeah, and then beyond that, we have Billy Berg's East versus West qualifier in Steinbach, Manitoba.
So do the same rules apply to you guys too?
Yes.
Top two advance?
Yeah.
Okay. And
Billy's added an overall in his.
Oh, okay. And then here's the thing. So when we walked in, when the tournament started, it was like, hey, we're going to do, the qualifiers are right hand only. Not a problem. He even had a 220 class, but that 220 class wasn't a qualifier. No big deal. And then after the event, people were getting their medals, top three, all that kind of stuff. And then somebody said, because they had one left, you mean it's not for a left-handed tournament? So Tim Thomas said no. So a lot of people kind of bummed out. No big deal. I'm excited because of the fact that folks in the chat, we don't get a lot of tournaments in the Pacific Northwest. So when you throw one, you go. I wish we would have had more people, but it just didn't happen. I get it. Work, whatever the case may be, other plans. I get it. But I guess Tim had called Paul in and said, hey, so no less, right? You want to double check? And apparently he said, yes, left-handers can go. Thinking, oh, okay, cool. It was awesome. The ladies pull for free. So it was all, and Tim's good about that. He puts on a tournament. Hey, ladies, let's get more ladies into the sport. Ladies pull for free. So I like that.
This is good. So let's talk a little bit, just jumping into it here. East versus West. There's a lot of stuff going on.
Well, I'm glad I saw some of the matchups. I know we'll talk more about it as we get closer because it's May 6th or something like that?
It's May the 6th, but a lot of matches are getting announced.
We're like 2 months away. I'm glad Cody Merritt got another shot.
I haven't talked to Cody in a while. I'm surprised that he's pulling at East versus West 7.
Why is that?
Because he had a broken bone after his last match with Corey West, and the recovery time it doesn't seem like it was that long ago.
Yeah. Well, how much was broken, though? Was it a chip or actual break?
I saw it. It was a break in his hand. He sent me the X-ray. It was all the way through.
Ooh.
So Jerry's Jerry versus Hermes is postponed again. Shocker.
Well, here's the thing. And let's finish the Cody marathon before we jump into that. I'm glad he gets another shot because you want to give people more opportunity, because I know deep down Cody's a better puller than what we all saw the last couple of matches he's had, right? I just think he ran into a buzzsaw with Morozov. He ran into a buzzsaw with Corey West, and that's just what it is sometimes,
Yeah. Well, he's got a tough match ahead of him. The guy that's the reigning world champ, I believe.
Yeah.
He's not getting any easy ones, that's for sure.
And then Jay Clean says Paul Lynn has his work cut out for him.
Who do they put Paul up against? Oh, he's got Sasho, doesn't he?
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
Man.
But isn't that for his title, though? Because doesn't Paul have the title?
Yeah, it is.
So, yeah, when you're a title holder, and I don't care what organization you're from, you're going to have some hungry.
Well, you're never getting an easy one. You're always going to have the next big thing. But Sasha was tough, man. And he's a little wee guy. Like, stature-wise, like it's interesting that he's pulling at that weight.
Well, he doesn't have to worry about cutting. You just say, hey, I'm just going to bulk up and go from there,
Yeah. I think Paul would probably shock us in that match a little bit. Like, I think it's way too early to make a prediction, but if I was asked today, I'd say that's a winnable match for Paul.
Yeah, it is. Although it's one of those matches where you got to just kind of wait and see what happens, because, the last time we saw Paul, didn't he pull Pablo before his last East vs. West? And I was kind of wondering, should he have taken that match?
Yeah.
And so, yeah, and then that's when he pulled Rostam, and the Vibe got injured, remember? And so I'm wondering, like, and even Paul said, I don't want to win that win on an injury, but, let's do the math. Paul won, so he's the champ at that weight category, which I don't even know what the weight categories are. I really don't.
They seem to change once in a while too, but I think they're going to mirror what WAF is doing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, let's get to this Jerry Hermes cancellation. So, the first time the match got canceled, it was because Jerry had an injury, right? And this time, is it because Hermes has the injury, or Hermes is not 100%?
I don't know. Chat, help us out here. That's kind of what I assumed.
So I know Jerry got on there. He was talking about that with Paul Italia, but I chose not to listen to that because I had some other stuff going on. So I haven't heard that yet. But
yeah,
I'm just trying to figure out. It got postponed to a later East vs. West. Now, does that hurt somebody? Because think about it. The last time a big name had to sit out, it kind of hurt him. Because did we still talk about where Hermes put all his title on the line against the legacy hammer of Levon? Was that still a thing or what?
I guess so.
Okay, because the match we all want to see was Hermes and Jerry. Jerry got hurt. Okay, now we won't get to see it. And then Chafee steps in. Hermes walks through him. Now it's Hermes and Levon getting all the love and all that kind of stuff. And Jerry's kind of like on the sideline going, well, if I wasn't injured. And like I said, that's the match I really want to see. I want to see Jerry sink his teeth into that. And pulling Georgie, not that Georgie was a walk in the park, but it just seemed like, I don't know if Jerry was like, well, I'll pull Georgie. But it was like, that wasn't the match I think deep down he really didn't want, That's just me saying it, I think he really wanted Hermes, but it's just, when you take a sideline break because of injury or whatever, that's what happens. Hermes got a hurt shoulder. I would have hurt my shoulder too, pulling Levon. I would have probably got my shoulder broken, but, you want people healthy. So I get it, but does it get to a point now where it's like, okay, does it do damage? And the only reason why I say that is because Okay, who else was pulling on that card that day? Right? It's Devin. It's Gennady. If by chance Devin wins, what does that do now to that mix? You see what I'm saying?
It confuses things a little bit, but also on that card, they've got Vitaly Laletin versus Tobias Sperong. And I know that Devin has been talking about a match with Vitaly for a while. I mean, if they both win, maybe that gets set up.
Was Tobias injured or something like that? I haven't seen him in a while.
It's been a while. Didn't he pull out of a match at one of the previous East versus West events?
I think the last time I saw him was East versus West, what, 4-3 or something like that?
Yeah.
It's been a while, so but I'm glad he's back on there too. Isn't Chafee back on there too?
Yeah, Chafee is back on here versus Revez.
Okay. Thank you, Jay Clean. Tobias had hernia surgery. That would explain it.
And then you got Rob Vigent Jr., the elusive, the recluse, RVJ.
RVJ is like Bigfoot
Against Zurab. So, man, there's lots of stuff going on here. Yeah, Jay Clean, I don't know if I like his chances either. Tobias against Vitaly, that seems like a lot.
Well, you want to challenge yourself, right? You want to get out there. You want to challenge yourself. So,
Is it too big of a jump, though? That's the thing, because Tobias hasn't pulled since he was. There's other matches he would have been, probably a little closer with. But you know what? If he's confident, what the hell?
Well, is he 100%? Because come off of surgery, if he's 100%,
Well, if he's taking a match with Vitaly Laletin not being 100%, that's a fool's errand.
And I'm glad Vitaly's back because it's like, that awesome match, which I think was match of the year last year with Chafee. And, to be down 2-0, come back and win 3 straight. And Dave had to go to the depths of hell to come back and win the last 2 to win the whole thing. And the thing is, with that, Dave won. And I'm glad he did because he earned every bit of that. But it's not like Vitaly's a nobody. It's not like Vitaly's horrible, And I hope some of these people out there, not you guys in the chat, because you guys in the chat are real smart about that. But there are some people out there, because you hear or see comments, and they're like, oh, yeah, Vitaly sucks. Chafee beat him. I'm like, dude, he doesn't suck. They went out to a fucking war, and somebody had to win, right? So, but I'm glad he's back. I mean, with the rumblings of fucking Vovoda coming back, and okay, it's just when you thought you heard everything,
Let's talk about that, because the last time Vovoda came back, it was a big deal, and he pulled Tim Bresnan, and Tim was way too much for him. Like, it wasn't close. It might have looked close in the first couple rounds, but Tim was just peeling him open every time. Yeah. So who do you put Vovoda against? Because I know Devin's going to say he wants Vovoda. I don't want to see Devin Laird versus Alexei Vovoda in Vovoda's first match back. I don't think it's going to be close.
That depends on what hand we're talking. Oh, I see a left-handed comment. Jay Clean said this is left-handed, Jody. Which match is left?
Sperong versus Vitaly Laletin is left hand.
How is Vitaly's left?
It must be good. I mean, maybe that's what gives Sperong the advantage.
Right.
That brings it a little bit closer. John versus Vovoda. Jay Clean, yes. I think that would be a great gatekeeper style of a match. But then you got all these Russians that are sitting around the top of, formerly number ones that we got to get sorted out.
Well, at what point, and we'll talk about John for a second, since that comment came up. Does John rest? Does he take one more match before his showdown with Todd Zill in August?
Yeah, I would think so.
He's lost his last 2. That's the only reason why I'm asking.
I think John could lose his next 10 and still get invited back to East versus West, just because he is that highly regarded.
Yes. I'm still waiting. I'm still holding out for the match I've been wanting to see. Morozov and Corey West. I'm still holding.
Well, we got Morozov versus Levon in July.
Yeah. What's that
So
about?
the worst thing in the world is that a right-handed or a left-handed match? I believe it's right-handed. It's left?
No, I'm shaking my head like I can't still believe that that's the match that's being touted.
The crazy thing between those guys is if Morozov gets offered a left-handed match with Corey West on the same card and he says yes, and he's just crazy enough to do it.
Okay. There's a thing called pride.
That's
we all
just
have
me
it.
pretending hypotheticals, of course.
Well, and here's the thing. So what you got to do is the last time we saw people pull twice the East versus West didn't work out so much. I think Morozov lost one of his matches. He lost his right-hand match the last time he pulled left and right. Corey West pulled left and right, went 1-1. Gasparini pulled left and right, went 1-1. Hell, Khaled, East versus West. Well, no, that was the same hand. Never mind. But do you see what I'm saying? So at that level, now I've done this before. I've pulled super matches, left hand, right hand at the same event. However, that's different because those matches I were involved in weren't at the elite level, okay? And I'm doing it again later on in September. So, one Justin Green, one Jordan Seal, same day. We'll get to that down the road. But my point being is that at a high level like that, you have to know that, let's just say, Ryan, you're pulling left hand, right? And you put every stock in your left hand, as do I, and you compete. Let's just say, and you did it. Hell, didn't you do it at Arm Wars versus Kerdeka? Remember that? When you did that?
When I tore it to shreds?
But you pulled both hands though, right?
I did pull both hands, and unfortunately my injury came in the first match.
Right. So, and that was your right hand. So with your left hand, now that your right's all jacked up, you still got to hold on to the peg. You still got to have some kind of tension. And it does affect the other hand when you pull in that match, does it not?
Very true. Yeah, it would take a little bit out of you.
Right. Because, you still got to use that balance here. If I'm putting all my stock in my left, you still got to have this peg to do some kind of, if it's all jacked up and it's hard to have any tension, it's like, it sucks. It's almost like pulling one arm,
Yeah.
But, this is, Morozov. You can't tell him anything. He's a stud. I love the guy. I just want him to be 100% with who he goes with. I want Corey. I want him to be 100% going into that match whenever that match is booked.
Yeah, I agree. Well, let's switch gears a little bit because East versus West, we could talk about it all day, but it's a ways off. Let's touch on the Arnold Classic.
Yes.
And tournament arm wrestling. Where do you want to begin? The marquee class of the whole thing. The top class was the heavyweight division.
Yeah, the 242, right?
Because we had a showdown between Pablo and Marcio Barboza.
Mm-hmm. And again, pardon me, guys, I didn't see a lot of footage. I was involved in my tournament I was involved in over the weekend, so I saw little to no. But you know what? I will watch, though. I will watch. But Pablo won. He beat Marcio, and they're both former champions. I think Pablo won this class last year, I believe.
The word is he won it with relative ease.
When was the last time Marcio pulled?
It's been a while.
Let me ask you a question, Ryan, and everybody in the chat. Do you think table rust exists?
No, I think maybe just a little bit. But I think what the more obvious thing that happens is people get stronger while you're away. That's it. I don't think you forget how to arm wrestle. I don't think, you might be a little bit rusty in transitions. Maybe you regress a little bit. Someone High Dollar Entertainment said it affects timing. Possibly it affects timing. I don't necessarily believe that table rust is as big of a factor as we might think it is.
Okay. I mean, honest opinion. I'll say this because I just went through it. So this past weekend, pulled right-handed for the first time. And, before I get into that, I did have a super match right-handed back in December. Well, we're talking about tournament format. Okay. Now, this past weekend was the first time I pulled in a tournament format right-handed since May of 2022. May. Okay. So think about it. June, July, August, September, October, November, December, January, February. We're talking, and in March, almost 10 months. Right. And the only reason why I did it is because I want to see where I was at. Because, injuries play a lot of part. You don't want to pull it, pumpkin training, cantaloupe training, wherever the fuck you want to use. But I want to make sure that, okay, I want to be injury free. I want to make sure all my tendonitis in my bicep was gone. I want to make sure my wrist was healthy enough. So I jumped in there, Only reason why I said that, because my very first match, I missed the go. And I went to drag my opponent back to kind of, bring him on my side of the table. My elbow popped off the back, so I'm thinking, all right, so I had to shake, kind of just get my bearings. Okay, fine. Got the and then it all clicked in. That first match is like, ow. But I heard people were saying Marshall got hurt. So, but again, I mean, that's the only reason why I brought that up, because there is some rust, because you might not be as crisp as you once were, taking all that much time off, So that's just my experience. I'm not saying what you're saying, Ryan, is false, but that's just my experience from it.
Well, it's tough to say because Marcio beat everyone else in the tournament. He just couldn't beat Pavlo. And Pavlo is like on top of his game.
And Pavlo's probably irritated that I fucking I had Sabin. I had him on the ropes. I'm up 2-0. Had him on the ropes and then lost everything. He got blown up. So
and he's pulling up a class. He's pulling a super heavyweight at the King of the Table.
Right. So, and that wasn't that far apart, actually. That was kind of, a week apart. So you take that, right? And this is where you're talking about tournament arm wrestling, because you take a super match where you're focusing on one person, it changes your mindset, it changes your style, because now tournament, it's like, all right, I got to hit the go button every single time, be ready. It changes. My style, honestly, is meant for tournament pulling. But I can do a 180 and change my approach to it when it comes to super matches.
Yeah. Well, I personally think that tournament arm wrestling has suffered a lot. Matt Mask alluded to this when he had that video where he was talking about what's next for him, whether he's going to retire or not, based off of that Pradeep video that came out.
Mm-hmm.
And he said he's going to try to hit some tournaments, but he's having trouble justifying going to a tournament. I'm paraphrasing, of course. He's having trouble justifying going to a tournament because the quality of competition that is at tournaments. He was very critical of this, because an argument can be made that most elites do not pull in tournaments. And he's not 100% wrong.
You mean to tell me that you can't go to the Arnold and get good competition? Is that what you're trying to tell me?
No, but the Arnold is an exception to a rule, right? So if you go to, like, let's say you're going to compete at East versus West.
Yep.
You're going to get a good match. You're going to get, somebody who's elite, somebody who is, matched up with you based on your level. If you go to the Arnolds, let's face it, you're going to get a few really good guys, but you're going to get a whole bunch of guys that, are tourists.
But again, tournament format's a little different, where one-on-one, your opponent. At least some of you guys do, because I'm going to tell you something in a minute about my upcoming match. So with a tournament, you don't know nothing. You got to go in there. I got to make sure I hit the bullseye every single time. If I got 12 studs in my class, I don't have time to get into a grinder match number 1. I don't. That's going to ruin me. You know what I mean?
Yep, that's right.
So
it'll change the outcome of the event.
Right. You got to, there ain't no, you get 2 outs or you get 2 losses, you're done. Not like, okay, hey, it's best of 5. I'm already down 2. I got 1 more bullet in the chamber. No, you're done. So, I mean, your whole mindset is like, go, 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 go. Hit that bullseye every single time. And yes, GB wasn't a stat, the Arnolds this year. Yeah, I think over the years now, with all these other organizations coming out, it's not the last Arnold's I went to was and this is pre-COVID, by the way. So the last Arnold's I went to was 2019, and this is before they split the class. Ryan, remember? Because you remember you've been in Arnold's before. That class was 199 and over. Remember that?
I do.
I went to the last Arnold's that was 199 and over. I walked in at 217. So you can only imagine. I'm like, well, shit, I'm going to get my lunch handed to me today. But, I was able to take 9th place. 9th place out of 27 guys. But, it was 27 guys in that class. Think about that. We're talking Barbosa. We're talking, Murta. We're talking Derek Smith, Robbie Burnett, Don Underwood. The list goes on, and that was the year Paul Lynn got his first Arnold victory, So that was a hell of a. Then COVID came in there and kind of did some weird thing. But I will say this: they split that class in half. Where now we got 242 and 243 and over. Cool. That would have been perfect. I couldn't go though, so I was like going. I would have loved to see, how I do just to get in there and mix up with those guys. Not saying I would have won. I don't want nobody, taking that out of context. Because we all know Mr. Pablo's in there, and he's going to sit on that throne for a while, I think.
I was going to respond to one of the comments here. I forgot what it was now. We were talking about, oh yeah, Jay Clean saying, I hate when people tell athletes to retire due to a losing streak. There's only one or 2 sports, Jay, where I agree with it. And those sports are boxing and mixed martial arts, depending on how the guy's losing. Like Tony Ferguson, got to retire. Stop letting that guy get more CT so he can, die early and suffer later in life.
Right.
But in arm wrestling, the only thing that's going to happen is promoters are going to be more careful with who they match you up with. So, you go on a losing streak, you adjust the level of competition. If that's not going to be good enough for you, then you might force yourself to be retired, because if you think you're above a certain level of competition, then you're not going to say yes to those matches.
David Marr, 90% in the house. All right. Winter Blast coming this Saturday. Do people understand that this is a sport you're not going to be undefeated in? You will take a loss. That's how it goes, right? And yes, Scott, I do agree. Every puller should qualify to attend the Arnold's at least once in their career, because I'm telling you, that experience is like no other. Not just arm wrestling. Like, we're talking 1,500 athletes, bodybuilding, physique, CrossFit, strongman, powerlifting. I mean, you name it. It's all out there. So, to have all those athletes underneath one roof is just mind-blowing. And I had a good time, and I'm hoping to go back one of these years. It's just, I'm all wrapped up in some other stuff right now. So, yeah, I agree.
Hey, Ryan Churchill says Matt wants more elites to pull. Tell us how to get there. He has a path to get there, and it's very clear. He's going to the East versus West qualifier in Toronto. If he qualifies, he'll go to Virginia, and he'll pull there. If he wins, he will get another match at East versus West.
And, they got some studs there. So let's just say, hypothetically, since that's the word for Monday, hypothetically. Now, let's just say Matt goes to the qualifier in Toronto, right? He wins. Doesn't matter first or second, he wins. You can still place second, people. You can still place second and still qualify, right? Now, let's say Matt goes to Virginia, right? Well, guess who's there? Also in the supers. Chance Shaw's there. You see what I'm saying? Like, okay, now you're going to find out what's really going on, because Chance Shaw is there. Unless Matt comes in at 242, what the fuck ever. But you see what I'm saying?
Here's the question for you, though.
Yes.
does a guy like Chance Shaw need to go through the qualifying process to get another match at East versus West, or will he avoid that tournament because he's already going to have an offer from East versus West? So some of those elites are going to be, maybe excluded from that process because they're already going to get invited back.
Right.
Chance just came off a win, didn't he?
I don't think.
Didn't he pull Zurab, or was there someone after Zurab?
I think it was somebody. I think, yeah. I don't think Team West did very good last East versus West.
Oh, Ryan Churchill. You want Matt to tell us how to get to his level? There's many intangible factors to get to Matt's level. So part of it is being naturally gifted and working hard. And then there's some other things that come into play as well.
Yeah.
But everyone has a bit of a different path. Like, you got to remember, like, Devin Larratt started arm wrestling in the 90s.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Well, I mean, and I didn't think about that till you explain it that way, Ryan. So it's like, okay, yeah, you're right. Chance doesn't really have to do that, but it's another opportunity because, like you and I, tournaments are cool. And maybe, he just needs some work. Is it fair? I don't know. Maybe, maybe not. But that doesn't mean that, what if Derek happens to go to the qualifier this coming weekend and clean house? Okay, now Derek's back on the road to East versus West. Matt Mass, Derek Smith, hell of a matchup.
Yeah, of course. Here's the thing. Tournaments are where monsters get derailed. So
Meaning that they're not protected?
Elite that doesn't have to pull at that tournament, it is a different world when you go in there and you can see somebody get, like, as you said, get tied up a little bit. And then all of a sudden the guy that was supposed to win ends up in 4th or 5th.
We've seen that before firsthand, In fact, I'll go a step further. Do you, and Ryan, I'm going to say this because you were there. I want to say, and in my mind, might be a little off, but I remember a tournament, I want to say 2014, Huntington Beach, California. It might have been UAL 8. Does that sound familiar?
That was the car. They gave away the car.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, for the viewers out there who weren't around then, I'm going to rehash this memory. And if I'm wrong, Ryan will correct me because he was there in person. That class you were in, holy shit. Lupke's, yourself, Rafael, Gertner, Brezink, Cataret, Michael Tosh. Should I keep going?
I mean, Mike Gould.
Yes.
Huge Mike Gould, yeah.
Mike Gould came in 4th, didn't he?
Yeah.
Now then, why I bring this up is because you made a comment that just sparked that question. You said sometimes the guy who's the favorite is supposed to win doesn't. Now, I remember when it got to the final 3, right, after it was clear that Mike Gould got 4th. You got 3 guys left. The super heavies had the black UAL jerseys on,
Yeah.
And it was Todd, like Michael Todd, Brezink, Cataret. Now, going into that, Michael was the face of the UAL at the time, right? Remember again, 2014, okay? Almost fucking, 10 years ago?
Yeah.
So, in 9 years ago is like 90 years ago in arm wrestling world. So, do you remember where John and Jerry made a deal? Let's get Michael out, split the money. Do you remember that?
I recall something like that. Yeah.
Because it was on Arm TV with Gary Roberts, and then Gary kind of went, he ghosted everybody, and now you can't even bring up his website up no more. So, because of the version and all that kind of stuff. But if he would bring that back, that'd be awesome. But my point being that if you watch down to the finals, Jerry would lay down to John. John would lay down to Jerry. And it was almost like, okay, and Michael still had to pull. So it was almost like, hey, Jerry, John got together. Hey, let's get together and do that and take out Michael. So it got down to the, to the point where, okay, Jerry ended up losing, and then now Jerry's in 3rd place, and it's down to the final 2. It's Michael, Todd, John Brezink. John ends up winning because I think that
both arms, by the way, both arms. John Brezink won the right and the left.
Yeah. So that right there, it was like, okay. So I guess my point I'm trying to make is that sometimes the favorite can get double teamed by other people. Hey, do you have a better chance to beat them? Do you do? I'll lay it down to you so you have it, so that way you're fresh. That does happen in this sport. It does happen.
Yeah, it does. And sometimes when it's a huge prize purse, there were side deals getting made that, we'll make it look good and we'll split.
And yes, Jay Clean, Mike was the favorite because at that time, Mike was the guy. He was the face of UAL. I mean, he had the ring and everything. He was the face, and then UAL kind of like UAL 9 was the last UAL event because that was the one they had. That was the Mike Gould Classic, the last Mike Gould Classic they had in Toronto.
Both arms.
Yeah,
I won both arms in the tournament.
Yeah, see, what'd you win? Just money or what?
Man, that was a really nice event to go to because it was cash prizes.
Mm-hmm.
Robert Drank paid for my travel and hotel to go to Toronto, which is, not that far, but, he brought in Bruce Buffer to do the announcing.
Yeah.
So they had a John Brzenk, Matt Mask super match, and they had a Mike Gould, Rich Lepke super match.
Don't forget RVJ and Alan Ford was
RVJ and Alan Ford, yeah. And I got my travel covered by Drank, who, by the way, you can see occasionally on Selling Sunset. Right. But it was awesome. They made him look like an asshole on that show, unfortunately.
Right.
Yeah.
Scott, to answer your question, Gary's website. So if you go in and click armtv.com, it comes back up. But if you try to click on anything, the software version is not updated. So it's kind of like you can't do it anymore, which sucks because we would always go there. But now with YouTube being what it is now, I don't know if Gary said fuck it, but then he did go back into the archive and started reestablishing all those. And now, I think he had a second kid now, so he's focused on the family, which I get, But yeah, that was a good time. If you ever go back to, if Gary ever releases that again, that was an awesome tournament. I'm talking everybody was there. Everybody.
Man, it's low hanging fruit. He just needs to start uploading it all to this YouTube channel and
does he know how many? Does he understand how many views he would get if he would redo all those again?
Gary is a perfectionist.
Right.
And when I say that, I mean, he will not just take that footage and throw it on YouTube. He will want to redo it, remaster it, make it crisp and clean, and spend hours and hours and hours doing that. And unless he has that time, he won't do it.
Well, I mean, it's a dog-eat-dog world because I understand why he was upset because after a while, it was like, hey, why should I go ahead and do this and have you guys pay $2 a month, whatever, which that ain't nothing now because we pay what, $14.95 for pay-per-views, $4.95 or whatever. So, and when people started doing their stuff and put it on YouTube, he was like, well, no one's going to watch mine for $2 a month if they can go watch that for free. Totally get that. But Gary has stuff that nobody else has though either. You know what I mean? And then maybe he's scared that if he puts it out there, someone's going to pirate that or wherever the fuck, But Gary has some serious footage. Like that UAL number 8. I mean, you had to be there. I wasn't there, but when I watched, I was like going, "Holy crap!" Every weight class had a different color uniform or jersey on,
yeah.
So you know what weight class was what.
I still have that black jersey, man. It was awesome.
Yeah, see, the women either had pink or had purple, right? RVJ. Those guys had the red jerseys on back when Toddzilla was like 195. The next class up had the orange jerseys. I know the lightweights had the yellow jerseys. The 198s had the blue or something like that. Yeah, so every weight class had a different color jersey. That was
how cool was that? Because you could tell what weight class was up just by the color of their jersey.
Exactly.
That was like a step in the right direction for all promoters. But we forgot about that.
Yeah.
And there was, over the years, people forget the amazing tournaments that have happened. Like there was one in Kansas City where Michael Todd won that motorcycle.
Mm-hmm.
There was another one. Now the dogs are going ape shit. There's another one. Mike Bowling used to have the Harley pull, where he'd give away a Sportster every year. The last one that ever happened, by the way, I won my class and was the key right before the one that started it. It was a Maxim. Maxim won it. He was a Canadian guy won the bike,
right?
And a Canadian guy won the. Dan Belfay, I think, won the car.
Yeah,
down at UAL. John Brzezinski did not start it. His two keys.
like
But
he
we
needs
forget
to
about these big tournaments, man. They were exciting, and I don't think I've ever been to a better tournament, and it will be extremely hard to top. Is those giant super tournaments that the WAL had in Vegas? They had them at UNLV and had the TV cameras going the whole time.
Yeah, I'm still bumming about that one because the 2 years I qualified, I couldn't go because of work. So I was kind of bummed out. The 1 year, and I held the 2 qualifiers here in Oregon. Remember the 50 state qualifiers that every state had a director? So I was a director in my area, did that thing. And it sucked trying to be a referee, a director, and a puller. That fucking sucked. I never want to do that again, by the way. But
yeah,
I ended up qualifying, and work was the reason why I couldn't go. So I'm bummed out. But my 2 teammates qualified. They went. And I'm like, dude, what happened? What happened? What happened? And remember, that was when you really couldn't talk about it. It was like, hush, hush, I can't talk about it and blah, blah. Remember that?
Yep.
Yeah, so it was kind of like they kind of put a little bit of UAL, but I remember you went. Go ahead.
Fun fact. The first match of the day in that thousands of people tournament had a broken arm.
Wasn't there like 6 of them total?
There were 7 in total, but match number 1 had someone break their arm, and the promoters were probably like, "What the hell?"
Do you remember why though? Do you remember why?
I heard there was like a pre-existing injury or something because it wasn't a new arm wrestler. It was someone that had been around a while.
Right. But the thing is, though, when you had so much money on the line, right? But you were mixing in open and amateur pullers too.
Yeah.
That was a no-no, honestly. I mean, looking back, you probably should have done that because I'm thinking, hold on for a second. So, awesome event. I guess the WAL tournament in Las Vegas, people, that was our generation version of the over the top. Okay. Only it didn't last till 2 in the morning. Yeah. But when you have those arm breaks, you're also mixing in, if I'm Toddzilla, and what do you remember what the first place cash prize was by chance?
For WAL?
Yeah, for that tournament in Vegas.
I think it was 20 grand.
Okay, so everybody in the chat, check this out. 20 grand. And, you're in the second round. Here's Toddzilla. And here's guys saying, here's this dude named Rico, never pulled before. These guys are pulling for money. I want that money. I'm taking everybody out. Poor little Rico over here gets his arm snapped.
Rico.
I just made up a name. But did you see what I'm saying, though? Like,
I do, yeah.
You're blending in open guys who are money hungry. I want that prize. I'm going to do anything. And then you got these amateur guys that are starstruck thinking, okay, I get to pull Brzezinski and all that. Pow! And, I think after that was that the reason why they kind of stopped doing that?
Well, they did it another year, but there was less money. And then the year after that, there was the WAL finals that didn't really happen because it was Travis that kind of spearheaded it still happening because we were all going to Vegas anyway because they canceled it with like 3 weeks notice. But everyone had bought all their flights, and he put it together fast. Even gave away little hammers for that.
Yeah, I remember those with the stickers on them. Yeah, I remember that. Well, and then they had the region ones, remember? Because 1 year they had, WAL West against the WAL East, whatever, kind of regionals. Well, then they had the North and the South,
Even in 2015, they had the regionals, but the regionals were on the same day. Like it was the same tournament. So you pulled in for your region, and then towards the end of it, they put everyone back into another tournament for like the overall. Like it was a lot of arm wrestling.
3 weeks apart. It was like 3 weeks apart.
No, it was like literally the same weekend. The first time they did it. And we went in there and man, it was fun.
Because the North was like you, Mask, Chafee, Cataract. I'm thinking, good Lord, I'm so glad I'm not in that class. Like, good Lord, you know. So, but yeah, I mean, that was fun though, right?
It was like they paid to like top 10. So all you had to do was like crack the top 10 and you got some money.
Mm-hmm. But that was fun. So we're coming full circle, everybody. Full circle. Sorry. This goes back to what you said, Ryan, like tournaments, right? That was fun because it was more, but yeah, I mean, making money and earning money while you're pulling is awesome, right? But it was more, I mean, hell, look at the UAL, what they did. Yeah, they're giving away cars and you know, sweatsuits, whatever the fuck they were doing, but it was the guys in your class. It was the WAL Northern region where you're in the class with Cataract, Chafee, you know, yourself, Mass, Gould, whatever, you know, you're pulling those guys. You know what I'm saying? That's what it was about. And I think because, you know, where we're at right now with, okay, hey, we're taking one-on-one matches. Now, one-on-one matches are awesome too, because it actually tells you what kind of puller you are. Because if you got your A+ move, or in my case, your fastball, and someone stops your fastball, you better have a curveball or a changeup. What I'm trying to say is that, hey, you better have a secondary move, or maybe even a third dairy. That's not even the word, is it? Third dairy. You know what I mean, right?
You just made it up. It's good.
Yeah. But do you see what I'm saying, though? That's good for that portion. Yeah. Where tournaments, it's like, dude, I get to fucking wreck somebody's weekend. You know, I get to hold somebody up, and then, you know, it was fun. And I think, you know, some of us got away from that, which, you know, they're still out there. It's just the elite guys are going elsewhere. That's all I'm saying.
Well, you know what? I think a lot that's happening is we're starting to come back to those tournaments. We're almost coming, like you said, it's coming full circle. You look at the events like they use it's not even Devin's event, it's actually Eric's event, the Ottawa Open.
Mm-hmm.
That's getting bigger and bigger. The Michigan State Championships. Everyone wants to go win one of those Golden Gorillas.
I do. I really do.
The Fallen Heroes event. Like,
I want a goddamn sword, dude. Oh my Lord. If you want like a hammer or an axe or a sword or machete, where the hell they got out in the Midwest, those events, have you noticed the Midwest are like, they all got weapons? You ever notice that?
They're starting to be a more popular thing up here too.
Right. So, you know, and here, I'm going to go back and grab one of my things I got. And, you know,
I want to go to one of the state championships where they're giving away handguns.
So this was a super match, but you see this, right? See this big ass bullet?
Yeah.
Yeah. The Kenny Bostic super match winner. Look how big this fucking bullet is, right? So this was a prize. I will love one of those. And this was a super match that I won because it took place in a military town. That's awesome. How many people have one of those? Not a lot, right? So when you go to the Midwest and they got hatchets and swords and axes and stuff, you want one of those. I came close 2 years ago, came in second place. Yeah, I love my medal, but guess what? Damn it to hell, I wanted one of those axes. You know, Rush Shredder, what's up, buddy? He knows all about that. You know, they got those top roll belts. Well, guess what? They're in the Midwest. You got to go out there and beat somebody who has one for that belt. You know, again, those gorillas, everybody wants one. You get a hold of Steve Pettis, dude. When's your Michigan States? I think he holds them in April every year, if I'm not mistaken. But there you go.
So, the weird narrative that is happening now, I'll just say I don't like it, is that people that don't like pulling in tournaments will say things like elites should not be pulling in tournaments because they're going to easy places to win easy prizes. And we've heard that said about Michael doing his 100 first place thing.
Right.
I guess it depends on your perspective. If you're looking at it like that and you say Michael shouldn't do that because he's better than everyone in there and he shouldn't be taking these trophies away from other people, that's a weird perspective in my eyes, because in my eyes, I think Michael Todd is showing up to an event and you have the opportunity to pull against him and potentially beat an elite guy. That's the opportunity. It's the mentality. The first mentality is like the, participation award type mentality.
Mm-hmm.
I hate that stuff. Earn it. And, you know, somebody mentioned in here that, you know, a tournament doesn't always show who's the best. It's a little bit clouded. It can be, but generally the cream always rises to the top, Jody.
Yeah. So I'm glad you brought that up. Now, am I biased when I'm about to say this? Probably. I talked to Michael Todd a lot. I talked to Michael Rebecca a lot on the phone, text, whatever. Now, some people, I'm not going to mention any names, you're a disgrace because, you know, you want to go to these amateur events. First of all, Michael Todd didn't pull no amateur. Let's get that straight. But again, this goes back to a guy who's only been in the sport for a few years. Now, when Michael Todd goes to these events, he's not going to just slow pull. He's coming to win. Now, maybe John Brzezinski might have did this back in the day, but it wasn't a real thing where I'm going to try to get 100 first place wins, right? Now, think about it. That does tax you on your arm. It does. Because now when you drop that weight, I want to do it as quick as possible. So that means if you pull 242s, you got left and right. 243, left and right. Masters, left and right. So a possible 6 classes you can come at first place in. That's what he's shooting for, right? And Michael Todd's coming. So, Ryan, because sometimes arm wrestlers can be finicky, they can be fickle. Instead of bitching, moaning, and crying about, oh, he's just going to take first place, why not turn that around to a 180 and go, you know what? This might be the day I'm going to get a win on him. Because you know and I know the minute Michael Todd is on stage and you're pulling him, the cameras are out.
Yep.
Some way, somehow, if someone gets a win, it's going to be on social media. You know that. I know that. He knows that. Everybody knows that. So, yes, I'll double down and agree with you on that. But everyone cries. It's like going, stop crying. Dude, it wasn't like this 10 years ago. It wasn't. Now we got these newbies in here bitching and moaning like, go do slap boxing or some shit. This is arm wrestling. We're here to compete. Not everybody's going to win. Stop this with this participation trophy. There are some people there, and I'll go a step further. There were some people at the tournament I was just at that should have been pulling open, but they chose to pull amateur. What the fuck for? Or there were some people I know that probably should have been there, and they're like, okay, because, Canada's here, Utah's here, Idaho, Oregon. What the fuck are you doing, dude? Don't be this big fish in a small pond. You want to be noticed? Get your butts out there and compete, because all it takes is one opportunity. Make it count, and boom, there it is, you know?
You know, I would be, you know, when the first time I went to the National Championship in 1997, they have Nationals is considered amateur. By definition, the National Championships is amateur. Well, they had another level, which I guess you would call novice. I refused to pull novice.
They're one and the same.
Well, novice is for new guys, right? So you had, I said I would rather be the shittiest higher level guy than the best novice. You know,
Ryan, did you know now they have a semi-pro division now? Yeah.
What?
Yeah. One of the events I went to in the Midwest, Rush, you know about this. Rush Raiders in the chat. They got a semi-pro division. They have one on the East Coast, semi-pro. I'm thinking, is that a thing? So, you know, I think it's too many divisions, honestly. But yeah, they have a semi-pro. I'm like going, what are we doing here? You know?
Yeah, exactly. What are we doing? Because Jay Clean says, what even is that? Half the time you can't tell the difference between a pro and an amateur as far as the defined lines, because an arm wrestler can jump back and forth between like a national championship, a world championship to a pro event. They can do that as much as they want. So there's no defined line on where you can and cannot pull. If you take other sports that are mainstream, a professional athlete cannot return to the amateur ranks. So now you've got this weird middle step.
Yeah. So James Clark and GB had it perfect. James Clark goes in order: novice, amateur, semi-pro, and pro is way too much. You're right. But highlight what GB said. He goes,
the Florida part?
Yeah. So he goes, there's an event in Florida with Chance that had a semi-pro, I think. And again, it's like going, why are we doing semi-pro? I mean, either your toes in the water, your toes out of the water. Why are we doing all this other stuff? Because then what happens is that the more classes you add, the more you're going to be for a 9-hour event. Nobody wants to be there for 9 hours unless it's like a world or national event. Then I understand, but you don't need that many classes. That's why when I went to that ruler of the nation in Texas in 2021, 25 guys in my class. Why? Because there were 3 weight classes, but we didn't stay all damn day though either. You know?
How do you define it?
What's that?
Semi-pro.
I don't know. It's like a split between, well, he's a low tier open guy, but a very, very high tier amateur guy.
Is it where the pros can choose to go down and the amateurs can choose to come up?
I guess, but it's like, honestly, you don't really need that because it's like, because now from a promoter standpoint, now I got to make how many more medals, how many more awards? I got to spend how much more money? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. We already have, let's see, in 2010, I think I gave away 75 classes worth of trophies at our national championships.
Mm-hmm.
That's a lot of national champions.
Yeah. And you know, Ryan, when you try to, I still got awards in this big box right here, right? From my LOD event because I anticipated everybody coming and not a lot of people came. I'm like, well, okay. So now all I got to do is change the ribbon. I mean, I'll keep the medal, but I got to change the ribbon and then I'm good to go. So, I mean, that's what, you know, as a promoter, that's what we do. But yeah, I mean, that's why nowadays, instead of putting the year on the actual medal, you just do it on a ribbon because it's like, okay, now if no one shows up for that class, now I'm stuck with that. It's not worth nothing now.
That's right.
That's why you put it on the ribbon. Ribbons are cheaper. Fine. He didn't come, throw it away, keep the medal, get the new ribbon, boom, put it on there. You're rolling. Let's do this.
Now I'm highlighting this because it actually makes a little bit of sense. As a caveat, the heathen said to me, the amateur and novice are the same. Now, if you were to get rid of the novice designation, you have amateur, semi-pro, and pro, I could live with that. Because to me, novice and amateur are almost the same thing.
Yeah. I mean, when I came into sport, I thought amateur and novice were the same thing. Because some events I went to with novice open, other ones I went to with amateur open. So I thought it was one of the same thing. So
yeah. Now, Leonard and Denise have an interesting way of doing it. In their events, some of their events in the States, unless you have won the amateur class, you can keep pulling the amateur class.
You don't have to.
You don't have to. You can choose to go up. But even as a world champion, the first time I went to their event, they told me I could pull the amateur event if I wanted to, because I had never won that amateur class. I obviously did not, but that was the rule.
Well, when I get with new people and they ask me for advice, hey, Jody, when do you think I'm ready to go open? I said, everyone's different. You're going to have that one freak of nature who just walked in here off the street, you know, as a garbage guy and fucking came in here and clean house and go, okay, I'm going to just do open after one event. Where for me, I went 6 months novice, said, fuck it, July 2011. Hey, that was the last day I did amateur, and the first day I did pro in the same event. Because once I started taking first and second, okay, I want to challenge myself. I was bored. I want to challenge myself now, which meant I knew that, yeah, it was cool to collect those trophies and stuff. But guess what? Hey, I knew that if I'm going from amateur to open, I'm going to start taking probably 5th or 6th place. I'm fine with that because then it's a whole different level, right? So there's levels to this, people.
Yeah. All right, buddy. We're at the hour mark, my friend. We ready to call it?
Oh, I was just going to tell you, yeah. So bad news, everybody. Bad news, bad news, bad news. I will not be pulling Uncle John at Arm Wars.
What's the good news?
I don't know who I'm pulling.
But you didn't pull out of the match. That's
What's
the
that?
good news. You still are available to pull.
Yes. I you know, and I talked with Neil, but Neil said he has something in store for me. I don't know what that is. He never let on to what that is. He's not telling me anything. So I am one of the very few, if not the only one, that will walk into Manchester not knowing who my opponent is. So
Is your opponent going to be Neil Pickup?
you know what? That kind of crossed my mind. Can you imagine Neil's first match back and it's me? Because he has been working out, but it was just weird. Like, okay, Uncle John's not coming. It sucks. Because I was looking forward to kicking his ass, you know. Of course, you know, competition wise, because Uncle John's a good guy. But that kind of like, you know, hey, he's not going to be there. So now all of a sudden I'm thinking, all right, cool. Who am I pulling next? Oh, we got somebody for you. I'm thinking, okay, nothing. Then if you guys are on the Arm Wars, you know, if you subscribe, you see the perks, you know. James Statham got on there. It was announcing, yeah, we got this person coming. He's pulling so-and-so. Jaggers is pulling Mendaugas. He put it on there. Then all of a sudden it's like Chocolate Thunder Jody Williams. He was slated to pull Uncle John, but he's not going to be there. So, and then he kind of went, yeah, we got something for him. So that kind of like, all right, what does that mean? So I'm going to hop on that plane, go over there across the pond, and not know a goddamn thing. So my ears are up. I'm on alert because now I don't know who to train for. So
Well,
yes,
train
Russ,
for everybody.
get my practice in because I'll need it. Yes, you're right. You're right. I'll need it, Russ. Especially if I don't know who the hell I'm pulling. But that's all right. Because guess what? I will be ready one way or the other. I will be ready.
All right, my friend.
Yes.
Until next week, make sure you
Till
go
next
over to
week.
Jody's channel and hit subscribe as well. It's in the description.
Yes. Thank you, Phil Woody. Appreciate that. Everybody enjoy your magnificent Monday. We will see you once again back here. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Until then, my friend, we'll see you next week.
I'll see you next week, buddy.
All right.